Dr. McKnight. Good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Yeah, same to you.
We had Last Dance on just a minute ago, and I thought, well, it's our last dance with you this year. But next week we'll renew that again. So
yeah, we'll start over.
No last things. But starting over, New Year's resolutions, that sort of thing. A lot of people have great intentions with New Year's resolutions, and they stick to them for hours sometimes.
An hour, maybe a day or two.
Before it gets blown up. Are we supposed to set the bar lower, be more realistic? What would your recommendations be for something like this? Or maybe you want to preface this in a different way.
Well, I'm sure it's probably a little bit odd for some of the listeners to be wondering, why is a doctor talking about New Year's resolutions? But actually, in Fit for Life and with patients, I'm always trying to help them get healthier. And I'm hearing all the time, well, I went on this weight loss program where I've tried to exercise and it hasn't worked. So behavior change is something that most of us medical providers should be talking to our patients about so they can get healthier. Mm-hmm. So when I developed the Fit for Life program years ago, I was really interested in what helps people change behavior, and I did a lot of research, a lot of reading on this topic, and I pulled from a couple different sources. Well, one of the sources was the Blue Angels. You know, the Blue Angels perform at a very high level, mm-hmm. and it doesn't happen randomly. It happens through a process. My brother was an F-18 fighter pilot, and they did the same thing. They would plan their flight, and then they would come back in the debriefing room and they'd go over how did it go and what could they do to tweak it and improve it. And so it's a process. The words that I use are probably different than what the Blue Angels use, but it's the same concept. And it's really pretty fascinating. But then I added two steps above that preface those, because I think they're really important. The first thing I would say, the first step I think people should make is ask good questions. In other words, as you reflect back on the year, and maybe you've gained a few pounds, your blood pressure's up, or you've had open heart surgery, the questions are, it's really critical that we ask good questions. Bad questions give you bad answers and disempower you. Why did I have to have this heart attack? Why do I keep gaining weight? Because the answers will flood to you. Mm-hmm. There'll be all kinds of reasons why those things happen, but they're disempowering. So the better question is, how can I improve my heart health? How can I get this weight off? What are the things that I can do to heal this relationship? Because good questions will lead to good answers that empower you. So the first question is to really self-reflect and ask those really questions that will help you do something positive. The next step, of course, is to listen to the answers. And to me, whether you call it your sixth sense, your conscience, the Spirit of God, whatever that is, if you listen quietly, you pretty much know what you need to do. I mean, those answers that come to your mind are on the forefront of your consciousness, and they come because you've thought about them before, somebody's inspired you. They're right there. They're ripe for the picking. So as you quietly reflect on these questions and the answers that come to you, to me, those are very inspirational. You should jot those down and then maybe just make an order. Prioritize what's the most important, what's the easiest for me to check off the list. And then from there, it's this process that I think the Blue Angels follow, and that's plan, execute, evaluate, and revise. So the planning step is you have to plan with discipline. What am I going to do? What's the order and the sequence? What's the most important for me at this time? And that requires vision. I tell people, don't look in the mirror and see somebody you don't like. Look in the mirror and see this trim, fit, beautiful athlete that's just has to be sculpted a little bit. Get away from those visions that are so disempowering and negative. And then the next step is to execute that plan with discipline. That's the hard part. That's where most of us stumble.
The discipline.
Yeah, because, boy, today I just don't feel like it.
Right.
I hurt. I don't have time, or whatever the reasons are. It takes discipline. But that's why in Fit for Life we start with small steps so that each day you can check something off. Well, you can't walk 10 minutes, so walk 5. Then tomorrow walk 6 and check that off. So that's executing with discipline. And the next step is, I think, where people fall short, because a lot of us will set a goal and then we'll go, as you said, for a couple of days and then we sort of stop doing it. The next step is where I think we miss out, and that's the evaluate. That's the debriefing. That's the pilots in the debriefing room saying, what did we do good? What did we stumble on? So that requires courage. You have to be honest with yourself. And If you're somebody that struggles with that, then ask your spouse, ask a friend, ask somebody, hey, give me some feedback here. And then the next step is, okay, so what did I learn from it? Now, what am I going to do to fix this? And that's the revise stage. And revision, I think, is really powerful when you either have a role model or someone that you trust that you're being accountable to and say, hey, help me with this. Help me figure out what I need to do better. And I call that revise with interdependence. In other words, use other people, have them help you because they'll be interested. They'll be able to give you some really good insights. So,
don't you think the accountability person helps you stop the free fall of I can't do this?
oh, absolutely.
And, oop, there's a floor, and they say, yeah, you're gonna have to do this.
Well, there's that self-talk in our brain that says we're not capable. We quit everything we start. We've never achieved a goal that we've set. But that other person, that coach, that inspirational person, or somebody who loves you unconditionally, they have to be the right person, because if they let you off the hook, that doesn't help. But they can't be too critical that you feel like I'm never going to make it. So that's why I say a coach, because a good coach will do that. They'll be inspirational. It'll be tough love, but they always come back and reassure you that they're there to support you. They're not going to walk away and leave you. So I think using, or I shouldn't say using, but enlisting the help of those people can be really helpful. So it's a process. We just can't give up. And like I said, many of us give up. We've tried things and it hasn't worked, but it's failed for a reason. Who was it? Thomas Edison, before he invented the light bulb, said he found 999 ways that helped him realize there's a better solution, something along those lines.
Right.
But, we get into I failed. Well, no, you're learning. You found a couple of things that didn't work. Great. Check that off. Don't go back and do that again. So a lot of it has to do with attitude as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing is seeing the whole picture. Okay, I want to lose 50 pounds, or, well, you're not going to do that in a week.
Right.
So, take pride in the 1 pound, because 50's coming.
Right. And I try to remind myself and others that nature teaches this lesson. Things don't happen quickly. You don't grow a great crop of corn. You don't harvest that in July. It takes months, and it takes planning and nourishing and commitment and dedication and love and patience. But so many of us want those quick results, and when we don't see them, we get upset and we want to give up. So, but it's amazing when people do these things, because the changes are, not only are they physical changes, but they're emotional changes. Their relationships improve. They start to realize, hey, I've got a calling here. I can inspire other people. I've done this. I know what this feels like. And it's really fun to watch that when people go through that process.
Maybe your resolution should be to join the next Fit for Life class.
There you go. I think that'd be a great start. And I told you, last fall that I had to sort of go through the process myself. And I had to repeat that. And when I started to stumble, I went back to the workbook, the things that were there that I really feel were inspired. I mean, a lot of this stuff, I wrote it, I developed it, but there were times that ideas came to me and I thought, that is really insightful. Where did that come from? Well, it wasn't me. It was another source. But it's really fun to be a part of something like that. And I think if we do those steps and we have those people to support us, it can be life-changing.
Well, good. When is the next sign-up, by the way?
I think it's January 19th.
Okay, so pretty soon.
Yeah, it's coming up fairly soon. And if their listeners are interested, they call the hospital and ask for Kelly Bow, who's the project coordinator. So the hospital number is 740-922-2800, and then she can get them enrolled.
All right. Well, thank you. And I think everyone is looking forward to a new year.
Oh, it's got to be better than last year.
That's the thought.
Got to make it a positive outcome.
Well, thanks for helping us along.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Tim McKnight here as we talk with the doc on our 830 High Beam. Brought to you this morning by Mako's Pharmacy.